Bharat is my home because it's where my heart soars. Prayagraj, the Mahakumbh, this is an extraordinary experience because I stopped being in relationships. I didn't use drugs and alcohol anymore, which I used to when I was much younger. Life is simple, is how Westerners view India. By saying that India has chaos is putting judgment on top of something that's quite glorious. If you want transformation, just go to India. But I love the Ganga Sun. I mean, this is not a river. This is pure consciousness. I mean, all of our Western students who come from all over the globe go into the Ganga and they come out completely transformed. And on every corner, within 200 feet of everywhere you can go in India, there is spirituality.
On the holy land of Prayagraj and in the world's largest religious gathering called Mahakumbh, we don't have people only from country. We have people across the globe. So here we will talk to him and understand his perspective and view towards Dharam. So welcome to the land of Prayagraj. And first of all, your name and country.
My name is Jivan Das Maharaj and I'm from the United States.
So my first question arrives from that point only. How it feels to be in Prayagraj and to be part of Mahakumbh?
Well, it is home. Bharat is my home because it's where my heart soars. My body, my mind, this life was born and raised in the US, but ever since I discovered Bharat maybe 20 years ago, I remember the first moment when the plane doors opened in Delhi and all I could feel that I was home. So my skin color is not the same as the skin color of the Bharatiya, and my culture is different, but I don't feel like a foreigner, I feel like home. In Prayagraj, in the Mahakumbh, this is an extraordinary experience where every moment is a blessing. Every moment is filled with possibility, and prakash, light, and enlightenment is the possibility of this Mahakumbh.
So I think some time ago, you have been in the place of a student like Diksha, and now you are at the place of Mahamandaleshwar. So how different it is to be there and to be here?
Yes. Well, I started as a student maybe 20 years ago with Jagadguru Sai Maa Lakshmi Devi, and 8 years ago took brahmachari. And that step in my life as sannyasin. And that step in my life, though it requires quite immense discipline, unlocked a world of freedom for me because I stopped being in relationships. I ate a certain diet. I didn't use drugs and alcohol anymore, which I used to when I was much younger. And the moment-to-moment liberation that I feel within myself, the freedom that I feel in myself, even though there are things I don't do and can't do, the desire to do those things has vanished. And there's this access to fulfillment, dharma, dhyan is so easy and simple. Life is simple. Now, surprisingly, I would have thought with all of these restrictions. And now as Mahamandaleshwar, the greatest blessing that I have, is the blessing to serve. And I never knew that for half of my life, that what a blessing it is to be of service and to serve the people of humanity.
I can sense that you have quite positive vibe as a guru. So my second question arrives from that point only. You coined the term Sanatan. So what is your understanding and what is the perspective as an individual towards Sanatan and towards spirituality?
Yes. Well, I don't love the term spirituality because it distinguishes something that is other than life. When life is really just spirituality itself. So it's just life force, living life. And Sanatan for me, and what I teach with my students, is rooted in the heart. So if we're not connected to our heart, if we're not expressing that prem to others, then how can we know truth? How can we know Sanatan Dharma? How can we teach Sanatan Dharma? How can we be a student of Sanatan Dharma if we don't have access to our own heart? If we don't practice being kind, being generous, feeding people, being generous with our time, with our energy, with our love, then we can't know Sanatan Dharma if we aren't connected to our heart. So this is everything. Because some people teach Sanatan Dharma and it's all teachings or the Vedas, but if there's no connection to heart, then what's the Vedas? You might have knowledge, but without the felt sense of being moved by the Vedas, by our yagas. I feel moved by the Vedas. I feel connected to them somehow, mysteriously. And that's because it activates something in my heart.
As you said earlier, that your body belongs to USA, but your soul belongs to Bharat. So, and as we see as a layman, it is quite a cultural mix for you. So, how what are the differences you see in both the cultures, and how is the experience of this cultural mix?
The biggest difference that I see in our cultures is how Westerners view India. For example, we have some students here or some Westerners that I actually see in the Kumbh that aren't our students that say, oh my gosh, India is so chaotic. That's kind of the easiest one. It's not chaotic. It's a movement. By saying that India has chaos is putting judgment on top of something that's quite glorious. I mean, when you go onto the streets and you see how India functions, it's miraculous. It's genius in a way because it's a movement, it's passion, it's life, it's spirituality, you could say, because it's so intertwined in the culture. And Westerners don't see that because they are triggered, it's so different, whatever it is. But if you surrender to the country of India, if you surrender to what Bharat offers, and you go just below the senses, the sounds, the lights, and you go just below that inside of yourself, then Bharat can unlock everything for you. I tell many of the people that I know in the US, if you want transformation, just go to India and just see what happens because you can't visit and be in Bharat and not be transformed by the experience here, the energy here, because of all the thousands of enlightened masters and gurus that have lived on this land, breathed this air, drank this water. It's imbued in the land, in the country itself, in a culture. So it has so much to offer so many.
My last two questions. Did you take the holy dip in the Ganges and the confluence Sangam, Riya, Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati?
Of course. We snan almost every day here. We take a snan that's a 20-minute walk. And I've been to the Triveni once before. And on this trip, we haven't because of all the crowds. But we take Ganga snan usually at about 5 a.m. each day, sometimes in the afternoon with the students when it's warmer for them and it's more pleasant. But I love the Ganga snan. I mean, this is not a river. This is pure consciousness, Ganga Mata. And I don't know how you can go into the river and come out the same as you were because it washes away everything. The myth of the Ganga Mata coming from the cosmos and coming to this land is not a myth, it's real. Because you can feel it. I mean, all of our Western students who come from all over the globe go into the Ganga and they come out completely transformed. They're different than when they went in and they're better and uplifted. They're cleansed. It's real.
Last but not the least, any specific message on the basis of your experiences to our viewers and especially to youth?
The only thing that I can say to the Bharatiya people is to remember, because it's in your culture, it's in this land, it's imbued in everything that you can do. I've been all over India, and on every corner, within 200 feet of everywhere you can go in India, there is spirituality. There might be this or that, and people doing things that aren't quite in alignment. But if you just go far enough, there is a reminder of what the access of this country gives us. And that is the access to the heart, which is the access to spirituality. So two things. One, everything that we need is inside. That's the history of India teaches us this and taught me that. And two, it's always accessible. And it's everything's there.
So, it was a lovely conversation of Mahamandaleshwar from USA. I hope the positive elements of the conversation will spread. People will understand and realize the essence, the importance of Mahakumbh, and when understand the perspective which he presented of Mahakumbh, Sanatan, and the ultimate process called spirituality,